As you can see, a few things have been moved around in the gym. Normally my treadmill and elliptical are facing towards the garage door. Wintertime, the Kubota's in here, the tractor's in here, so that's my view. Not very fun. A lot of times I listen to music when I'm working out, but there's times I'm interested in a show, just keep me distracted, especially if I'm working out later on or, get on my treadmill. Wintertime, later on during the day, just get tired of sitting around, come out here and walk and watch TV. So I have a new addition, a TV. It is a Bluetooth TV, got it on sale at Costco. And the reason I got a Bluetooth was because I was going to use my hotspot, because this is a really well insulated metal garage. Our Wi-Fi cannot penetrate this garage unless the big door is open. And during the winter, fall, rainy days, you can't have the big door open to get the Wi-Fi signal in here. So I was looking for options. So I said, I'll just use the hotspot. Well, and also we were thinking about when we're in our camper too, when we're out there when there's no Wi-Fi signal, and typically we use LTE. And we're using our iPad that has LTE signal to watch our TV programs or catch up with the news, or rainy day you can't go out hiking or sit by a campfire. You get a little bored sometimes. And so we wanted an option for that, not having to always use our hotspot as well, because having to pair it sometimes can be difficult. Typically the one in the camper or hotspot is always paired, but sometimes it disappears and you got to figure it out again. So Jesse said, I'm going to find a solution mostly for the camper, but then the solution also became evident for here in my little workout area. And what it is a lightning to digital AV. It's a plug and play device. We got it on Amazon. It's on sale right now. It's $427.2022. And it was on sale for $41 or $49, I can't recall. But it's a simple little device. Plugs in. Now this is for iPhone. I can't tell you if there's something for an Android. I'm sure there is. But we all know how to plug in our iPhones. You plug it right there. That's typical, just like you're charging it. And now right here you have an HDMI outlet and basically a lightning connector. Now, just before I forget, supposedly you can charge your iPhone at the same time, plugged into a USB port, and then it'll charge at the same time. Because when you were watching video, it just like using Bluetooth, your battery can reduce quite quickly, especially mine. My phone's very old and the battery doesn't last long. So I'm going to demonstrate how, when you're in your RV, how to use it to connect to your phone to your TV. We bought an extra one for the RV because I like convenience. I don't like having to unplug something. And every time you unplug something more and more, it can, wear out. So, got my TV on already. Now there is some people, I think, that when Jesse investigated this, that you have to have your program playing before you put it on your TV. I found that's not necessary. So right now I have it on my HDMI 1 port. Obviously you can see I have an HDMI connector. So depending on your TV, just check out what your ports are. Not all TVs are like. Some of the cheaper ones don't have any ports, maybe just one. So if you got another device connected, it's quite possible you'll have to unplug and plug it in. This one has two. All I need is the one. So I'm a fan of cooking. I like to cook. I like to watch cooking shows. They distract me. I don't know why. Jesse can't stand them. A lot of times when I'm watching my TV inside, you can see my phone's pairing. And now it's playing. I got the volume down. That's how simple it is. Plug and play. Get your and if let's say I want to change my channel. Here, let's see here. 2,000 dishes. You can see it goes to my home screen, and now it's playing. Pretty nifty. And for cheap option, it's tiny. You're in your RV. We know all space is highly limited. I bought a long cord, which I also have for our camper, so I don't always have to get up there, plug and play, or try to reach for it. And if you're at your kitchen sink, you can change it real quick or pause it. So you can watch your streaming, all your streaming. Pluto's free. If anybody wants to save money, there's a lot of good channels, there's a lot of retro channels on Pluto. It's a good option, free. So we watch a lot of Pluto. So that's how it works. It's so simple. I'm so proud that Jesse found this because I was getting a little frustrated. Spring was a while ago, but we have not had spring weather. It's very frustrating. Oh, let me turn my TV off here. So normally we plant our potatoes here in north central Minnesota around Good Friday. We know that's been a while ago, a couple weeks at best. We reuse our potatoes that we store in our root cellar. In fact, I need to get them out, start warming them up and things like that. But typically I already have a lot of my onions in too. I start most of my onions from seeds, but just in case there's failures or I want quicker onions that are bigger, I buy some sets. Years ago, they were only $1 a piece, for a bag of 100 sets. And sets are basically, if you don't know, are basically bulbs, like a fall bulb or a spring bulb, flower bulb that you plant in the ground. It's basically because onions are biennial, so they kind of get them before they want to, start growing. So I buy a couple bags. This year they were $2.50 a bag. I almost hesitated, but I get anxious to want to plant, and the weather warmed up. I thought, I'll get these sets in quick. Nah, no go. The ground's already frozen again. We've had some cold weather. So I typically start my seeds indoors because it's warm and they need that heat, even though I have heating pads underneath. And I always usually plant the sets when I do buy them right in the ground, just direct sow. Well, this year I thought I'd try something different because we're not able to plant yet. So what I do is after my plants have been started and starting to get warm out here in the tractor barn, I start moving things out here so I can start planting some more. So what I did this year, which I've never done, I started my sets in pots. So there you go. They're getting quite long. I'm hoping not to have to cut the greens down like I do my plants. And I hope they transplant well. Again, this is an experiment. Even though it's quite chilly in this pole barn because we've already turned off our heater because we really don't need it as long as it stays above freezing in here because we have a lot of things in here that can't freeze. It's 61.2 degrees here with a few little heating pads underneath. I don't know if you can see them. And then the lights, obviously. And I use the grow lights. I used to use just the fluorescent lights, but I've transitioned to the full spectrum lights. And they seem to actually work so much better. But I'm going to start transferring some more plants out here so I can start some more. And usually, even by now, a lot of times I'll start putting plants out into our big greenhouse on heating pads during the night. It heats up, like today it's really sunny. It's going to get over 100 degrees in there if I don't open the door. So it's a little frustrating this year, but it's just nature, so you just got to work with it. Another problem we've incurred, and it only started about last year. It was really dry last year, and we have a big farm field across the street from us, and typically they plant things in there, but last year they didn't, maybe because it was really dry and kind of droughty. So last year we were invaded by pocket gophers. They are frustrating. So last year I tried these sonic spike for pocket gophers, and they worked well. Basically, you put it in the ground. It has to, it's solar, so it has to have sun, and also it has to have wet, moist ground, or the sonic won't penetrate the 7,500 square feet. So you put one of these in there, and it constantly throws out a signal. And so the animals don't like it. It's kind of like those emitters you put on your porch to distract animals and birds from nesting on your porch. They can only hear it basically. You can actually hear this. I hear it sometimes. So it did work. I had a huge gopher, pocket gopher problem in my greenhouse garden, and I also put some repellent down. They don't like blood meal and castor oil, and that worked because it was all natural, and I didn't want to put any poison in my food production. So these do work. I bought these last year for about $20 at Menards. They had 11% rebate. I also bought some at this year at Harbor Freight. They were only about $10, and there was a 20% off of those. So I hope those work just as well. But these work great for your garden area, because again, the poison we use, and it's zinc phosphate, and it kills moles and gophers if they eat them. That's the problem. These are wily creatures. They have massive tunnel systems. Let me see if I can reach it. We've tried everything for the yard. We've tried these gopher bombs or gassers. They didn't seem to work. We'll try them again. I've got them. I won't let them go to waste. Because again, their tunnel system is so massive. But this zinc phosphate, and I'll show you what we use it for, seems to be working. But patience is virtue. You just got to find them, find their tunnels, find their burrows, and hopefully they'll eat this poison and they'll meet their demise. Last year, Some people say, oh, it's so cruel. Well, last year they ate half my potatoes because they got in my garden, and I could not get rid of them. And so I went to dig up my potatoes in fall. Half of them were gone. And this is the device, the yard butler. It's a bait applicator. You open this up, you put in the bait, you can hear it, and then you try to find their tunnels and their access points, their burrows, and then this little lever, you go back and forth a couple times. This is poison to humans. You don't want to put this in your garden. You know, yeah, some people say it goes deep enough you don't have to worry, but I don't want to chance it, so that's totally up to you. You can see there's been times how far I found their burrows. Now the ground's going to be a little frozen today, so it might be kind of iffy. I might try to applicate it twice, and we'll show you. Yesterday, Jesse mentioned how these pocket gophers always come up in like threes within a day or two of each other. Had one hole yesterday, I treated it. Now we got 2 more in the same area. I'm hoping that they're going in the right direction and away from my garden, but we'll see. This was the first hole that Jesse found. I did treat it yesterday, haphazardly again because the ground's frozen, because it's got really cold the last few nights in a row. Today it's going to get in the 50s though, and hopefully start warming up. So I did treat that hole, so I'm going to ignore that one for today. Again, patience is a virtue. I may have to come out several times and try to find their tunnels and see if they are making more mounds here. And these mounds, you always hear about the farmers not liking these mounds because I don't know what they do. They get real crusty and hard over time, and you know, you're plowing or you're lawnmowing, it can hurt your blade. Hopefully they're going in the right direction. Again, this was the first one. There's my orchard garden. We call it that because that's where most of our fruit production is and was. So hopefully they decided I'm not wanting to go there. They're looking for food, obviously, and they can be destructive because they can also eat the roots of your trees and shrubs, and they're just, like I said, took my potatoes last year. We still had enough, and we don't eat that many potatoes as we used to, but you know, it's frustrating. You do all that work, and then they're gone. Some little creature. So, to find where to try to penetrate the ground, again, ground frozen, so I may have to wait later too. But typically you can see kind of like a horseshoe almost pattern. This is where you want to try to locate their burrow and or tunnels. This hole you kind of ignore. They kind of come up and peek their head up a lot of times. You know, at nighttime dusk, they like the dark, that's why they're in the ground. It is amazing they can make all this dirt come up with the ground so still frozen. Look at that big mound. That is just amazing what they're doing. So I'm going to try to find their burrow and or a tunnel. And typically you can tell, now if you're pushing this down in the ground when it's not frozen, it's going to go down some, but you kind of have to use force to get it go a long way. As I said, I have found tunnels as deep as the top, or not tunnels, but they're burrows. And when you find one of those, you're probably more than likely finding them where they're sleeping or storing their food. So if you feel like a little giveaway, that wasn't a lot, but I can feel the ground's frozen, but I'll go ahead and treat this hole. And you just put this back and forth a couple times. And try to keep the poison in the ground so wild animals and birds don't get it. I don't know if they're attracted to it, but let's not try. Then I cover up the hole. Try to keep where it doesn't cover up the pellets. And the key is to try to find their tunnel. Again, typically you ignore that spot. They're really good excavators, miners. This isn't the best demonstration because the ground's frozen. It is kind of fun though when you're doing this and boom, it goes all the way to the ground because it gives. It's like a tunnel, and then it goes. There's no resistance to it. These are wily creatures. This one's going to be a bit more difficult because that horseshoe shape is not very evident, so it's a guessing game. And a lot of times what you can do to see if it's even an active hole, kind of dig a hole. They don't like the light, So they'll cover it up again so you know it's an active hole. There's other traps you can buy where you put it in the ground somehow, and then they get caught and get killed. And I have some of those, and once the weather warms up, I'll try to use those as well if they keep being pests. So I'm just going to guess here. Boy, that ground is just hard as a rock. I cannot believe they can do this. Oh, got one. See that? It went right in. I didn't even have any resistance there. These other ones I was pushing pretty hard. This one went right in. So you treat it. Yep, got lucky on that one. Oh, another one. Oh, see how, again, hardly any pushing there. I'm glad I got some good demonstration on this little device. Bought this on Amazon. I believe it was last year after a friend turned me on to it for about $30, $35. And I'm going to wait to try to find their tunnels. And that's why they're hard, like I said, to get rid of, because, man, it's crazy. So I'm going to cover up the 2 successful holes. I'll leave these here so I don't have to worry about those later. Try not to get the dirt down so they'll find the pellets. And we wanted to get this early. Last year we waited too long because we didn't know what remedies to do. We just kept knocking down the holes. Don't knock the holes down until you treat them, though, because that's where you can find out some evidence. So hopefully the things that we showed you today with the AV connector for your RV and or home and this little Gopher baiter here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon.